my friends, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to talk a bit about the different use cases of underscore in programming. The reason I'm making this video is that I was recently talking to a friend of mine and I used an underscore in my Python code and he was quite fascinated by how it works and he didn't know about, different use cases. So I thought you guys might as well enjoy it, and here is hoping, my fingers are crossed, that you guys are going to enjoy this. So let's get started with the first use case. If I open Python here, Python 3, and the first use case is that you can use underscore to return the latest value. Let's say, for example, I go, 5 times 6, and that's 30. If I go underscore plus 10, underscore is here referring to the value 30. So if I hit enter now, I'm just going to get 40, right? And now if I go underscore, times 2, because the latest value is 40, it's going to multiply 40 by 2 and return 80, right? So this is the first use case. Maybe you didn't know that. Again, like they may not be like super practical, like make your life easier, maybe in any way, I don't know. Some of them will though, but maybe not this one. But I thought it's good for you to know what's going on. So this is about the first use case. The second use case is that, let's say you have a number, a equals 1, like bunch of zeros, right? And like you do some calculation here, right? The Python understands it, like does the calculation, whatever. But for someone that reads your code, it's really hard to see like how many zeros you have here. So one way to do that is to add underscores. I can say b equals and like get the same number, right? And be like, okay, like every 3 zeros, I'm gonna add like underscore here, right? For example, something like this. And so a and b are equal now. It just basically ignores the underscore in a number. So here, if I go, if a equal d, then for example, print Python ignores and underscore in a number, and let's put underscore in double quotes. If I do something like this, by the way, let's talk about this. You see that like it ends the string here. This is unknown, and then like this is a new string. If I run this, Python's not gonna like that, right? So if you want to like print double quotes or single quotes or something like that, you just like add a slash here, and that fixes the problem. And here you see it says Python ignores underscore in a number, which means a equals b. So this is like the second use case of underscore in Python. Another use case of underscore is when you want to have some dummy variables, right? So we can say third use case, dummy variables, right? You saw that in my, machine learning video. Sometimes I just go for underscore in range, 5, for example, then do something, right? You can like define a variable here, like I, j, index, whatever you want, right? But the problem with that is that it creates a variable, assign values to that, updates the value, change the value, and then like after the for loop is done, it still keeps that value. So if I go, for example, for I within that range from 0 to 4, which is range 5, print, for example, print high. And then once it's done, I go print I. I has a value. I is going to be, as you can see, like it prints 5 times high, and then it says I is 4. But sometimes you don't really need this I because it's just like a loop index, right? So you don't really need that. In that case, you might as well just change that with an underscore, which means I don't care about this variable name. Do not assign a variable to this, and just run this code for me, which you see like it prints a high 5 times, which is like basically the same functionality. Another example of dummy variables is that let's say you have a Python function, for example, define test function, for example, and it gets like A and B, and it says result one is A plus B, result two equals A minus B, and result three that equals A times B, right? And then you go return R1, R2, and R3. So if I call my function, I have to go R1, or like, I don't know, we can go X, Y, Z, for example, so that like you see that it doesn't really have to be the same names. So if I go X, Y, Z equals test, I don't know, 10 and 5, and print all these values, X is going to be A plus B, which is 15. Y would be the second one, which is 5, and then Z would be 50, right? But sometimes you don't really care about these in your code. You're going to be like, hey, I don't really care about this. I don't really want to assign a variable, and just I only care about Y, right? And this works. If I go print, for example, Y here, it's going to be the second output, which is this guy, which is A minus B, which is 10 minus 5. So I expect to see 5 at the output, which is correct. So this is the third use case of underscore in programming. And the other one is that you can, let's just like comment this out so it doesn't keep printing values for us. Just like throw away all of it. The other use case is that when you want to use some Python keywords as variable name. I don't really know why someone would do such thing, but some people might want to do that. I don't know. So let's go using Python keywords, for example. So, for example, if I go A equals list, right? It creates a list, right? And so if I go here, for example, print A and run the code, it creates an empty list for me. So Python knows what list is, but I can also say Python is list, right? And then underscore. If you want to have, well, not this way because this is assigning a value. I can go list underscore equals 5, for example. So it generates a variable. It creates a variable named list underscore. And then like you can use that. And actually in the documentation, it says that list underscore, it's, I'm just going to put it here. It says it is better to use, for example, list underscore than LST, which is like short for list, for example. And you know that you can do that in Python. For example, if I go here, I can say, because you can assign values to different variables. Say, for example, print is like it's a function, right? Like if I go print 3, it's gonna do something for me. But I can also say print equals 5, right? Python is not gonna complain about it. It's just gonna assign the value 5 to a variable named print. But now you have ruined your print function. If I go print 3 now, it says I don't understand because print is 5. What does it mean? Because like you're basically saying 5, 3. And it says, well, I don't know what to do with that. Int is not callable. I cannot really do anything about this. So if you ever wanted to do this for whatever reason and use some of the Python keywords as the name of a variable, make sure that you're adding an underscore at the end, so that Python, so that you're not going to lose the keyword. So this is use case 4. So just gonna put that here. So that was the fourth, right? So yeah, this was the third one, and this is the fourth one. Let's comment this out. Another use case that I can think of off the top of my head is like when you use an underscore before a variable name. Like for example, you go underscore uh, var or a, for example, that equals 5, right? It's it's not really that serious in Python, but basically all it means that like don't take it very seriously. It's a local variable. It's like a non-written agreement between the programmers that like if they want to assign something, some variable locally to something, they're gonna use underscore before the name of that variable. And for example, and like an example of it is that, for example, if I go, let's say you have a file, right? Let's say I have this file and I want to get, say, from library L. Let's say we have a library named L. Import everything, right? And then if inside that library you have a function that says, let's say that, for example, this is my library, right? I'm just gonna go. This is hell, for example, right? And I have def function 1, and it does something, right? I don't care what. It's just like an example here. And then you have def underscore def2, right? And then like it does something else. And then like you have def f3, for example, and so on and so forth, right? When you come here and say from L, import everything, it's supposed to bring over all the functions. But because this function f2 has underscore before the name, it just assumes that, okay, I'm not going to bring this over because it probably didn't matter. And I'm just not going to use that. Like it's probably like a local function that I don't care about it. There are ways around it. Like, and you can just say, you can be like very explicit and say from, that's not how you spell from L import, for example, import underscore f2. This way you can bring the function over, but things like this, like it just like start or whatever, it's not gonna work here. You cannot just like bring everything like that. And so this is like another use case of underscore, which was the 5th one. The other one is that you can, for example, use double underscore. So let's just comment this out again. So we're not gonna lose this. So wait, this was 4. So this was 5. The 6 would be double underscore, right? In this case, for example, let's say that you have a class, right? You have a class and just want to say, for example, class, my class as an example, right? And then you're going to say that in this class, I have a variable name, right? Like it says go underscore a, for example, that equals something, right? So it means that when someone creates an object from this class or creates a subclass based on your, my class, then they won't have access to this because like this is super local. So like you can look at the underscore as a more serious version of underscore just before the variable name. And yeah, basically it's the same thing, but Python takes it more seriously. And it says, for example, like, as I said, if you have a class based off this class, like, class inheriting and stuff like that we talked about before, I'm not going to bring over this, right? So you don't have access to this. So that's the other use case. And then the last thing that I can think about is we've seen this probably a lot. That's when we go, for example, if underscore name underscore equals, for example, underscore main underscore, then do something, right? This is the last use case that I can think of. I'm not saying that it's limited to these. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but this is what I can think of right now. So when you use 2 underscores before the name and like 2 underscores after the name, here in this example, for example, it says, for example, the name of my file is example project x underscore prj ct.py. So I have, let's say I have defined like 10 functions in here, and then like I'm doing something here. So as long as I'm running this function, I have access to everything from here. But let's say I import ex underscore project to another file. And in that case, whatever comes inside this statement is not true because name is not equal main. And we've also talked about this before. And if I'm not wrong, this is called mangling in programming, which means like it's basically a way of defining, your top level file. If you're dealing with like so many files, but doing this, it says, okay, like I only care about the top file, the file that I'm running right now. These were the main 7 use cases of underscore in programming, more specifically in Python programming. Hopefully that's useful to you, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to support me, and also not to miss the next videos when I upload them. You guys have a good one. Take care. Thank you for watching me. Bye bye.